some of these people rely so heavily on their kids getting a full ride to colleges that they're like, they take it so personal. They're like, I can't afford to send my kid to college, so anybody getting in the way of that is my enemy. You know, they won't say it, but I think deep down inside it's like a subconscious type of thing. So
Yeah.
small town America.
Right. Yeah. If you're from a small town, you might get it, right? But if you're moving away, really does help. It does. I guess we've moved a lot into like the personal side, right? So,
Yeah, that's okay.
And that's fine. I mean, I'm not complaining about it. I never talk about this stuff on our podcast. I always eat pre-workout and talk about memes. But no, I mean, even this last year has been like interesting as far as trying to manage the business side of stuff and the personal side of stuff. And that's what I found myself in. And thankfully we brought Britt on. She's really actually got me back. I don't know how far in the hole I'd be right now if I didn't have her. Like, she's learning stuff still, but like I wouldn't get shit done. I would just sit around and do nothing. And so having someone here to like hold you responsible was really nice too. But I was in a dark spot, man. Like, oh gosh, not even just from that. Just like, we went. So basically, when we scaled up for COVID. We went from Meadowbrook and trail. That's all we did. We did photos and video to now in literally 2 weeks' time because the OHSAA came out and said, hey, football, you're allowed to stream your games now. And this was 2 weeks before the season starts because all the COVID, they didn't know what was happening. I'm getting like 15 calls the same like day. Hey, you streamed one basketball game last year. Can you stream all of our football games? And in my head, I'm still this yes. And that's what taught me to say no was after the fact, right? It was just insane. We went from 2 schools to basically 8. And we went from Meadowbrook Trail to Meadowbrook Trail, Shenandoah, Caldwell, not Philo, Fort Fry, River. Yeah. And
for the people that don't know, those are far schools. Like your
an
reach,
hour and a half.
Yeah, your reach in this
Malvern,
area is really good right now, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Awesome.
But what came with that was a lot of struggle because I was like, well, man, how are we going to do this? Like I was like, I just said yes to all these people, and we did it, which was looking back. I don't think I could have did that another year.
That's a lot, yeah.
We shot over, I believe, 200 games in 130 days. So more than one game a day, and that's counting weekends that you don't shoot on, right? So it was a really big scaling problem, and we figured it out. My theory has always been the simplest solution is always the best solution. So, like an AVC or someone, they'll take like a van full of equipment to a game. I'm like, well, look at all this cost. You've got to drive the van. It's got gas that is way more expensive than taking a car. You've got all this equipment in there that you don't really need. So we condensed it to basically you could carry in a case that's like this big, and that has everything you need in it to film a game.
Awesome. See, that's that innovation that they just don't see.
Right, and
do more with less.
And so they're still doing games. We're still doing some games, but we made it very scalable and like made it easy for people to use because I couldn't be at every game, right? So it had to be simple. It had to be able to be set up by someone else that I could train in 2 weeks. So that was the biggest thing. But then the aftermath of all that is really what got to me as like a person was a lot of stuff happened. In that same time frame, no time for family, no time for girlfriend, no time for anything. And so basically lost my girlfriend over that stuff, right?
Yeah. And, which, I mean, if they're not with you through that, then, you know.
Well, and it wasn't all just, film and sports, right? Like there was a lot more to it, but that definitely didn't help. It was a lot of strain, right? Because you never got to see them. You were always out doing stuff. And
classic entrepreneur story,
Yeah.
But speaking of that classic entrepreneur story, have you ever, through that time when you guys were just super busy, did you ever like late nights here? Just you're probably sleeping.
Oh, I still sleep here sometimes. Yeah. Like I bought an air mattress for that stuff because I would literally, and there's some days I still do that with this podcast because we'll film them at like 8 p.m. sometimes. I'll come in, I'll film the podcast, I'll sleep, I'll wake up at like 8, and just the first thing I do is wake up and do the podcast because it needs done for that day. So it's like you get some sleep, then you're right back to it. It's the same thing. So